Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book I've reviewed before and by various publishers and in different ways over the last few years. It's called Cohabitation. It's a very important part of the law of real property, actually. If you're a student, I think you'll find it very interesting to read this book, because this is actually the law, practice and precedents relating to cohabitation. Now in a 7th edition, it has a CD which is very useful for the precedents. It's been written by a number of people: Helen Wood, James Cook, John Eames, Mark Harrop, Ashley Murray and David Salter. And it's come to us from LexisNexis. It's part of what was the family law imprint from Jordan. I'm very grateful that LexisNexis have taken this book on board, because it's an important book. There it is. It's a heavy book, this one, actually. There it is, green cover. There's the spine. Then on the back you can see some information, some quite useful quotes from the journals on what they think of this book. It's a heavy book. The CD is actually in the front section there. If we go to the back though, the total number of pages, 820 odd, you can see the index at the back is pretty heavy, and it goes, the index is by paragraph numbering, not page numbering, which is again quite important. It's a detailed index. It says reference are to paragraph numbers, you see on the index there, and then you've got here the actual book itself, and you can see the paragraph numbering at the sides and the footnoting. We go to the front of it. It is available, of course, as an ebook, and you can get that via visiting the jordanpublishing.co.uk website. There's the information about the authors. You see the Helen Wood's a district judge. Then you've got various associates from firms of solicitors, also judges, barristers and so forth, Deputy High Court judge. So a lot of people involved in this at a high level. There's the basic information and some acknowledgements. There's a foreword from Eleanor King, Lady Justice Eleanor King, which I've quoted from slightly as a useful point. And then Helen Wood has put some information in the preface. Then we go to the contents section there. You can see how it's structured. It's quite a substantial contents section all the way through. 10 chapters in total. Then the table of cases listed there. References again are to paragraph numbering. Then tables of statutes likewise. Then you've got the statutory instruments, of course, as well. And then after that, some international materials. They're creeping in a lot to these books, and rightly too. Then useful list of abbreviations, I think always important in anything to do with real property and anything to do with this type of litigation. Quite useful. Then there's an introduction to start the book off with some detailed footnotes all the way through. There's a lot of footnoting there. And then we get into the book itself with the first chapter. There we go. It's in different parts. There's chapter 1. Ownership of the home starts off with, you see the paragraph numbering, and you can see the actual footnoting, and that's the way it runs all the way through, and 800 odd pages worth. An important book, this one, without a doubt. Very grateful to LexisNexis for taking it on. So what do Elizabeth and I say about the book? Well, probably the short definitions, probably the short definitive statement on the current law of cohabitation from experts in this substantive law area. And that's what you've got. You've got judges, you've got barristers, you've got solicitors. So you've got a wide range of people with a lot of expertise in what is an emotionally difficult area. And it's an area that we have to face because obviously so much has changed, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The subject of cohabitation has come to the fore in recent years with a huge number of people who now cohabit in modern Britain for whatever reason. And it's not been ignored by many lawyers and politicians, but fortunately we're beginning to see changes as the issue of cohabitation rises up the legal agenda, which it has done. And so for 2017, recording is in the summer, we have a new 7th edition of the book, published now by LexisNexis under the old Jordan Publishing imprint of family law. It's important to read the impressive foreword by King, or Lady Justice King, who writes that the ease with which a couple can opt for cohabitation consciously or by default belies the complexity that often attends the termination of their relationship. And in a nutshell, that is what this book is all about, with the number of unmarried cohabiting couples continuing to increase. And the result is that the practice and the law itself on cohabitation steadily expands in significance for both family and private client lawyers. And the new edition then of Cohabitation, which is Law, Practice and Precedents, to give it its full title, been written by the impressive team of lawyers, the list that I've just mentioned. The work has been extensively revised to take account of all procedural developments, as well as analysis of significant case law, and there's a lot of it, which I think will be very helpful. I think anybody who's involved in, certainly in undergraduate legal work, will find this book of interest too, because quite often in the problem questions in land law you might get something like this cropping up. It always used to be very popular. The advice, of course, given by these experts covers all aspects of legal practice with a clear authoritative exposition of the law. And it's quite clear to me that many people in early practice at the bar would be advised to know about this book because it may well be something they would wish to refer to, depending on the type of brief that they are getting from instructing solicitors. So whether you are preparing a cohabitation contract or a prenuptial agreement, drafting wills for cohabiting couples, that's solicitors of course, advising on rights on the breakdown of a relationship or the death of a partner, or applying for a personal protection order or a parental responsibility agreement, you're given an authoritative analysis of the applicable law and expert guidance on procedural issues by these authors. And we're very grateful to them for frankly having this information, because it is coming to us from the people who, if anybody knows anything, will be the right people to advise you. And as far as we know, it's the only work on the subject to provide commentary, checklists, procedural guides and precedents in a single volume, making it therefore an invaluable aid to all practitioners advising unmarried couples. That is what makes it, I think, such an invaluable reference for those advising at every aspect of the cohabitation relationship. The cases I've done, the difficulty I've had is that they really have no idea, most people, about the legal minefield of problems that can be created when they actually cohabit. When they come to me, it's a bit late in the day, unfortunately, quite often. However, I think it's a matter of public legal education to make sure people know more about this in the future. So this edition comes to us in 2017 with a highly useful CD-ROM, which contains all the precedents covered in the book. And a final point worth emphasising, I think, is that the outcome of litigation can never be stated as certain. Such is especially so, of course, with cohabitation, because it's very difficult sometimes to identify how the case is going to go. It's been said before that many expensive arguments can be avoided if the parties could be persuaded to take appropriate advice at the outset. That's clearly set out in the introductory remarks. The advice being about beneficial interests on the purchase of the shared home, or by the formalisation of the terms which have been agreed by means of a properly drafted cohabitation agreement. Even with the ever-increasing number of unrepresented parties, you can find much of the information you need in this book, in our opinion. And as Helen Wood says, prevention is better than cure. The aim then is to assist practitioners when dealing with particular requirements of those who are neither married nor in a civil partnership. And I think it does that brilliantly. The law stated as at the 1st of February 2017. They've done, I think, a really first-class job in a small volume. I know it's quite heavy, but it's a smallish volume, bearing in mind what you could have with the loose leaf books. But here is what you've got if you've got a problem. There's the back of the book again. You see the spine and the back. Just opening it in the middle, we're looking here at children, parental responsibility for children. Again, it's an important area in its own right, acquiring parental responsibility. Obviously there's an overlap here with the Children Act and so forth, but again you can see the basic structure. A lot of case law mentioned, very helpful. The annotations and the detail in the footnotes and then of course the actual paragraph numbering. I'm very pleased with this book, and I'm very grateful, as I said earlier, to Lexis for continuing to publish it. I think these books do make our lives a lot easier as practitioners. It's not about selling books and all that sort of stuff for us. It's a matter of being able to find the right book depending on the sort of problem that you may have when you're advising a client. And this book actually covers as much as it can, both for either a barrister or solicitor. So a thank you to all the people involved and everybody connected with this book. It's a great help to all of us. Thank you. Bye-bye.